And we're live. Yeah, man. Back up in this thing. It is a beautiful Florida Saturday. And I'm going to hit y'all with just a little quick hit before I get down to do some other things I got going on today. About to fire up a pork loin. Yeah. That's how we do it down here, cooking the meats. So anyway, speaking of pork loin, right? It's going to be somewhat apropos for the subject matter in an ironic kind of way. Today, I want to talk about gratitude, and gratitude in the form of, you know what? I want to thank Ilhan Omar, the representative of Minnesota. I want to thank her because she has given me clarity on something that I was wrestling with in terms of an opinion that I have, and interested to hear, some of the feedback that I'll get from this, because I'm sure it's going to be labeled as one of two things. So before we get into it, a little background on Ilhan Omar. She's a Somali naturalized citizen, and member of the quote unquote squad. So, a progressive, air quotes, progressive Democrat, who espouses a lot of, she's very opinionated. I'll put it that way. She's very, very opinionated about America. So, I want to thank her, though, because she's kind of given me clarity on an issue. I used to wrestle around with this issue, and perhaps it's something you've thought of, maybe not. Should first-generation immigrants be allowed to hold political office in America? And I want to thank her because now, where I was kind of teetering, my official answer now is no. And, again, this could be taken one of a couple of ways. I'm not a real big person on disclaimers, say, well, I don't mean to be xenophobic, but, no, I don't do that. You take it how you want it. I don't have a problem with immigrants, the ones who come here the right way. And this whole, again, I don't play the word game that the left is kind of it's one of their campaigns where they just kind of create these new terms, and you just got to kind of because right now, as a matter of fact, let's do it right now. Let's look up the word xenophobia, and so let's go to Merriam-Webster. Yep. No typing because I already have it pulled up because I'm prepared. But let's look it up. So what we got here? Merriam-Webster. The definition of, as soon as I click through these ads. Okay, xenophobia. Fear and hatred of strangers or foreigners, or of anything that is strange or foreign. Fear and hatred of strangers or foreigners, or of anything that is strange or foreign. And this is why, this will probably end up being another video of mine, but this is why I don't play their word games, right? Because I think we can all agree that the consensus of these quote unquote new phobias that have literally zero backing in psychology. There's nothing there. These are all political machinations, but that's fine. So the problem I have with these new quote unquote phobias is because the definition is so ambiguous. It's so imprecise. And that, to me, is done intentionally. Because the more ambiguous it is, the more behaviors I can loop into that category. once we've established it's a bad thing. And this is done, of course, to coerce your behavior in a desired direction. So let's do this one more time. Xenophobia, and we're going to go piece by piece through here, and perhaps you've already kind of picked up on it, but I just want you to hear how imprecise this definition is. Again, xenophobia, according to Merriam-Webster, is fear and hatred of strangers or foreigners, or of anything that is strange or foreign. So, right off the bat, fear and hatred of strangers. Okay, so an old lady walking down the street in the middle of the night that sees a group of dudes who are, let's say, rabble-rousing, and she crosses the street to avoid them. That is xenophobic, according to Merriam-Webster, because she's afraid of strangers. How about this? You have a neighbor who is from a foreign country, right? You guys get into an exchange because he's got a miserable little shitty dog that yaps all hours of the night. And you've told him about it. He's pretty much told you to go fly a kite. And, well, let's say there's bad blood between the two of you at this point. To the point where, wait for it, you hate him. You can't stand his ass. You hope he moves. You wish you didn't live next door to him. Guess what? You're xenophobic, according to Merriam-Webster, because you have the fear or hatred in this case, of a foreigner. See, there's one part of this definition that is missing for me. See, a complete definition to me is the fear and hatred of strangers or foreigners, or of anything that is strange or foreign for the reason of it being foreign. See, it's different for me to hate, to go back to that analogy, or excuse me, the previous example of the neighbor. It's different for me to hate my neighbor because he's a foreigner. See, that to me lends more credence to the spirit of what the term xenophobia is trying to portray. But the fact that this definition, as it exists on Merriam-Webster, no less, is so open-ended, you can throw anything in there. Anything, basically any kind of conflict. If you don't just accept everything and everybody, then you can be labeled as xenophobic. See, and that's the game. It coerces your behavior to a desired, I'll put that in air quotes, to a desired outcome. So now that we have the tenuous, and you know what? I'll tell you what, I'll do one better. I'm going to go now, because we did Merriam-Webster, right? I'm going to go now to dictionary.com and do the same thing, just so we have another credible source. Although dictionary.com did have swag as a word, so you know, I just and lit and all that, so it's increasingly losing its credibility with me. But let's go ahead and punch xenophobic into dictionary.com and let's see what we get here. Okay, we've got two definitions, very interesting. Definition number 1 of xenophobic: relating to or exhibiting fear or hatred of foreigners, people from different cultures, or strangers. See, once again, let's do that. Listen again. Relating to or exhibiting fear or hatred of foreigners, people from different cultures, or strangers. See, once again, two things I want you to notice. Number 1, they lump the word strangers in there again, which is very, very odd to me. Because I tell you what, it's very natural to be fearful of something or someone you do not know within a prescribed situation. Going back to the first example of the old lady walking down the street, and you see a raucous crowd of fully grown men. It is very natural for that lady to be somewhat fearful because, number 1, she does not know this person. It is an unknown entity. that she is going to be forced to have an engagement with, and she does not know their intentions, motives, or anything about their character. So it's very natural to be fearful. Now, I think the question then needs to shift to, how do you handle that fear? Okay, because on the one hand, while it is very natural to be skeptical, fearful in a situation in which you are thrust into an unfamiliar setting with circumstances that are outside of your control, it is not okay to react in a way that is just completely unfounded, right? That is purely emotionally driven. So at some point with people, obviously, there's the whole fight or flight dynamic. Really don't want to go into that, but at a certain point with adults, you would hope and assume that logic and reasoning would take the wheel. Excuse me. So that was the first definition of xenophobic from dictionary.com. Again, relating to or exhibiting fear or hatred of foreigners, people from different cultures, or strangers. The other thing about that definition, because we talked about the strangers, that's very weird. The other part about that I want you to notice is, again, it doesn't say for the reason of them being foreigners. It's not exhibiting fear or hatred of foreigners for the sake that they are foreigners. It's not exhibiting fear or hatred of people from different cultures for the sake that they are of a different culture. It's just hating them. So please note that how open that is. And then let's go to the second definition here of xenophobic according to dictionary.com. And it is relating to or exhibiting fear or dislike of the customs, dress, etc. of people who are culturally different. That is very interesting. Now, on the outset, it sounds like basically you're kind of buttressing the first definition, which an argument could be made. But this is very interesting. So, relating to or exhibiting fear or dislike of the customs, coming back to that, dress, etc., of people who are culturally different. You know, so when I was in the military, I was on a tail swap and ended up in Italy, right? Sicily, Sigonella. So one of the days when we were out and about just doing our thing, they have I don't know what you would call it, but they have basically an influx of African immigrants there. Straight up African immigrants. There was one guy in particular, I think he said he was from Senegal. So the thing about it is, and it was very interesting too, because as I walked down the streets of Sicily, people, because again, I am a Black American, people just kind of knew immediately that I was American. Which is very, very interesting. And it was also very interesting that when you're across the sea, when you're overseas, I think a lot of people's problem is they have never traveled, to be honest with you. Because I think that gives a lot of people clarity if they could just experience, not necessarily a different culture, but experience how you are viewed by other cultures. And by that, I mean this. Whether I was in Sicily, Greece, even England, although England is a little bit more like here. But the further east you go, when they would see me, they would only address me as an American. That's it. There was no adjective or modifier. It's like, oh, you're African American. Oh, you're Black American. It was just, oh, you're an American. And that was honestly very refreshing. But anyhow, back to this gentleman from Senegal. He was a street merchant of some kind, selling some sort of, random assorted horseshit. And there was, let's say, there was an odor about him. Which is funny because actually when I was in Greece, to digress one more time, when I was in Greece, one of the first people who kind of came up to me that we actually spoke to, it was me and a bunch of other people, but he was like, "Oh, you're an American," and I was like, "How do you know that?" I was at a certain point, I just kind of got curious. Now, I was called a lot of things over there. Like one person thought I was Kevin Garnett, whatever. Like I don't get offended by shit like that. Like, I mean, how many people that look like me do they see on a daily basis? Like I don't really give. And again, I could do a whole lot worse than that. And after he bought me a couple of drinks, I was like, yeah, I'm not Kevin Garnett, but thank you. So anyhow, this one person who we actually ended up chatting up and was like, after we kind of met him, he's like, oh, you're an American, and I'm like, how do you know that? And hand to God, if I'm lying, I'm flying, and my feet ain't left the ground. He said, because you don't stink. I said, well, no, I don't. But so, and he wasn't the only person who said this. There was another interaction that we had with some of the local ladies there. Very nice ladies, very friendly, very, very friendly. So, and we talked to her and her friends, and she initially, because she was like, oh, Americans. So I was like, okay, so how do you know I'm an American? Her answer, again, right off the top, because you don't stink, you smell good. So, okay, maybe there's something to this, right? Before everybody said, that's so racist. Well, number one, it's literally not racism. It could be insensitive. It could be discriminatory. Maybe. We can have those conversations. Could be stereotyping. Maybe. But it's literally not racist. So, anyhow, this gentleman, back to my interaction with this Senegalese fellow, we were outside in a bazaar. It was just kind of like an open air street market kind of deal. And I could smell this man well before I shook his hand. Well before. And this is outside, open air, by the ocean. So, yeah, there's something to it, right? But when I talked to him, he said culturally, people coming from where he comes from, like they don't wear deodorant. They just don't they just don't do it. Because the smell doesn't bother them. So that was a custom of his. Well, let's go back to the second definition of xenophobic. Relating to or exhibiting fear or dislike of the customs, dress, etc. of people who are culturally different. So, if somebody does not wear deodorant and we encounter them, I think culturally there's a consensus that we're not fans of that. When you wake up, swipe up. That's all. A little bit of deodorant, a little bit of Arm & Hammer, and you're good to go, right? A little bit of Degree, a little bit of whatever you got. Although, Old Spice, I can't do Old Spice. Old Spice is like, it tears my underarms up for whatever reason. But anyway, so culturally, we expect people to wear deodorant. Well, how does that work then? If somebody coming from a different culture to our culture does not wear deodorant, we don't like that. Well, according to this, that makes you xenophobic. See, this is the problem I have with these definitions, because you kind of got the wokey wokes, the SJWs infiltrating major institutions. Because, I'm sorry, this definition of xenophobic as it exists should not be on dictionary.com or Webster's Dictionary. It is incomplete. It is thoroughly incomplete. Now, the next question then becomes, is that by design or was it just an accident? I happen to believe the former, that it is by design. I don't think that accidents like that exist on these levels. I believe everything has to be approved or vetoed by someone with their finger on the button, so to speak. So anyway, now that we have those definitions of xenophobic out of the way, right? That kind of underscores why I reject these kinds of terms. So when somebody says that, I'm like, no, I'm not. No, it's not a real thing as it exists. Sorry, just isn't. I don't hate you because you're not from here. Nope. But I do have the right to not like your behavior. Like, what is it about you? This thing that you're perfect, you are a finished, perfect product as is, and the rest of us are, just let us all just bow down and kiss your feet. No, I'm sorry. I just won't. I can't go with that. I can't go with that. But anyway, getting back to Ilhan Omar, right? She has helped me to kind of come to that conclusion that I just don't think first generation immigrants should be allowed to run for public office. Just don't. You just got here. You literally just got here. So how about we do this? How about we familiarize ourselves with our customs, right? Because you're joining us. You're doing our thing, which you came here the right way. Welcome. Welcome. But so how about we do that? How about you familiarize yourself with our customs, learn our history, develop a baseline love and appreciation for this country, and teach that to your children? How about we lay the foundation of good citizenship first? How about we learn the language, right? The lingua franca, because we don't have an official language, but which I disagree with. But how about we learn the lingua franca, which is American English? How about we develop good citizen habits, get a job, be productive? How about we do all of that first before we try to just, take the steering wheel? How about we do that? That is amazing to me. Like you could not apply at an entry level position at any company and then be like, okay, yeah, I need to sit in on the manager's meeting because we need to fix some things about this company. They would look at you like you were insane. They would look at you like you are presumptuous and arrogant. It's like, you just got here, bro, and you're going to change our company? We've been running this company for years. We just hired you. You're a new hire. Welcome to the company. But sorry, dude, your place is not in the executive board meeting. Your place is not in the upper management meeting. Your place is out there doing your job. And then you can work your way up, and by all means, we can have that conversation once you're qualified. But until then, be a good employee. And maybe that's my message, right? Until then, be a good citizen. Because I'm sorry, Ilhan Omar, and she's not the only one, Rashida Tlaib is another. Now, before I say Rashida Tlaib in the sense of her naturalization status, because that I'm not sure of, but let's look at that up right quick. But I'm saying Rashida Tlaib in the sense of these are people who espouse very anti-American sentiments. And I get it, right? America's not perfect. I am looking up Rashida Tlaib right now because I don't want to say something that is incorrect, factually incorrect. You could disagree all you want, but let's see. No, she was born in Detroit, so she's actually from here. But I mean Rashida Tlaib in the sense that her, Ilhan Omar, they are very vocal in their distaste for America as it exists, right? And that's fine. America is by no means a finished product. It is by no means perfect. It is by no means infallible. And I don't think there's anyone who would ever say that who, is serious. But it's pretty damn good. I mean, we fly as close to that sun as is possible. And that is just, I'm sorry, that is just a verifiable truth. Again, if it's so terrible, why are you coming here? If it's so terrible, why are you staying here? That's kind of one of the things that started to rub me the wrong way with Democrats is they just hate shit for the sake of hating shit. It's like, oh, you value this? Well, let me shit on it. Oh, this is important to you? Well, let me show you that I hate it. So, and the other thing about it is it's just lashing out hatred, right? It's just, oh, well, your food tastes awful. What's wrong with my food? It just sucks. Okay, but why does it suck? Because it tastes awful. Like, there's never anything constructive behind it. There's never anything, it's just, oh, it's racist. Okay, how? It's a white supremacist creation. How? Oh, it's unfair. How? So, I'm sorry. When you have a criticism of something, you have to move beyond baby don't like. So anyway, back to these two individuals, but I'm going to go back to Ilhan Omar here. You know, it's different. And I'm not going to lie to you. My opinion for Rashida Tlaib, I don't appreciate her perspectives on a lot of things. But to me, again, it's different coming from someone who was born here. Like, you'll go on Twitter. Matter of fact, I'll see all the time in my Twitter feed, you'll have like Canadians, goddamn Canadian, like goddamn Canadians, man, just talking shit for the sake of talking shit. Like, I mean, have your opinion, man, it's fine, but wow. You know, like, it's these people just chiming in, talking shit about a country that they're not even a part of. So just be glad you're not a part of it, I guess, because it's so bad, right? But anyway, it's different for her, being Rashida Tlaib. She was born here. So, you know, whatever. You kind of earn that. All right. But for me, it always rubs me the wrong way when you have a first-generation immigrant that talks shit about the country they just petitioned to join. Right? So, to me, that's very disaccording. So, okay, if it's that bad, why did you come? And the answer to that is undoubtedly because something about this nation is better than where you were. Right? I think that's a logical conclusion to draw. Because if there was nothing about this nation, there was literally zero about this nation that was better, more appealing than where you were, why would you come? Literally, why? There's no reason. To punish yourself? I'm doing this because I hate myself. I want to be in as miserable as possible. So yes, this country is much worse, but I'm coming to it anyway. Makes no sense. Makes no sense. So obviously something is better. So why don't we focus on what is better? How about we do that first? Again, a little bit of gratitude. Because naturalization via immigration is by no means a quote-unquote human right. It's by no means. There's no country in the world that just has to let you in just because you want to go in. So, and let me clarify that statement a little bit, just a little bit. There's no country in this, you're not owed that. They choose to do that. They choose to have that policy. So, again, it bothers me from a perspective of, you know, let's show a little bit of gratitude, a little bit of appreciation. You know, there's the old, like, in the 90s, you had the stereotypical, like, kind of tourist that has, like, the I love New York, waving the flag and all this other stuff. And, you know, that was annoying on another level. But you know what? We could use a little bit more of that. Not gonna lie to you. We could use a lot more of that. Because now the new trend is, oh yeah, I'm gonna come over here and just talk shit. Like, I really don't get that. And it vexes me. It is what it does. It vexes me. So, you know, I mean, think about it like this, right? Because I like, you know, I'm an analogizer. So let's throw another analogy out there. You, my loyal listener, are having a family barbecue. It's just you and your family. Kicking it, having a good time. About to have some pork tenderloin, as a matter of fact. So, out of the goodness of your heart, you're like, hey, I'm going to invite you to come over. You can come chill with my family. All right, appreciate that. I show up to your family barbecue. Do I need to bring it? No, man, we got it all. You're good. Just come on and have a good time. You're welcome. Awesome. So I show up to your family barbecue. I walk in. The first thing I do is like, wow, your house is small. Damn, your living room is kind of dirty, man. You didn't clean this? Man, what do we eat around here? I'm hungry. Wow, is this all the food you're going to make? Damn. All you've got is Sunny D and purple stuff? How does that make you feel? How would you feel? You'd be like, wow, I didn't have to invite you, bro. You know, Senior Hogg, High Chancellor Hogg, proprietor of Planet Hogg, you are very, very ungrateful. And you'd be right to think that. according to Webster's dictionary, you'd be xenophobic. But to all of us with a fully functioning brain, that's a very natural reaction to have from your perspective. That, wow, this person I just invited you. So, yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. Show a little bit of gratitude and a little less attitude. Gratitude, attitude. Gratitude, attitude. So I don't know, maybe something for you guys to think about. Again, no problem with people coming here the right way. No problem. No problem. None. It's one of the things that makes our country awesome. It's a melting pot. But the key word there is melting pot. Root word, melt. Melt is all I'm asking. Come on in and join us. That is all. So for this episode of Planet Hogg, I'm going to go ahead and sign on out because I get some meats to cook. I'll catch y'all next time.